What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and we are back with another episode of our Beyond Omega Level series, which we forgot to do on Friday, so we're doing it today, and then we're doing another one on Friday, so we're doing 2 in 1 week to get us back on schedule. And we have a viewer suggestion from R. Evan W., who said that since we had done an episode on Zeus, we needed to do one on Nyx, the goddess of darkness. So that's what we're going to do here today. So Nyx was created by Al Ewing, Jim Zub, Mark Waid, and Joshua James Shaw, and first appeared in Avengers No Road Home in 2019. So she's a relatively new character, and we've only seen her within the No Road Home miniseries that was released weekly in early 2019. But the series basically opened with a character known as Voyager, or Vonnie Gast, who was a character that was introduced in late 2018 as a supposed lost Avenger named Valerie Vector, who had been around since the group's founding and everybody just forgot about her, to be quite honest. But as it turns out, she was actually the daughter of the Grandmaster that was placed on Earth as his agent, and it implanted false memories in people's minds to make it seem like she was this famous superhero that had been forgotten. Now, eventually, she turns on her father and becomes an ally of the Avengers, and as the No Road Home miniseries begins, she's basically going around assembling a team of Avengers to deal with a threat that's causing the whole world to go dark. So, Voyager rounds up a few Avengers for her team, including Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Spectrum, and the Hulk, before she finally finds Hercules and tells him that his home, Mount Olympus, has been attacked by this threat. Now, Voyager uses her teleportation powers to open a portal to Olympus, and Hercules finds most of the Greek gods have basically been slaughtered, except for her sister Athena, who is clinging to life. And so she tells Hercules that the carnage he sees is the work of the Queen of the Night, whose name he's not allowed to utter. Now, Scarlet Witch then explains that according to Greek myth, the goddess of the night is called Nyx, which proves to be a mistake, not because the information is incorrect, but because immediately after saying her name, she shows up and places her hand through Wanda's head, which I always thought was a really weird circumstance because you would think that Hercules would know Greek mythology better than Wanda would, but we ultimately end up seeing a flashback to what happened on Mount Olympus, which is that Nyx had shown up and talks about how mad she is that Zeus had locked her away and mocks the Greek gods because nobody worships them anymore before she and her minions just start wrecking the whole place. Now, we also learn that Nyx was freed from her imprisonment when the Earth was briefly moved away from the sun during a game between the Grandmaster and the Challenger, which Voyager was also a part of. Furthermore, we learned that when he imprisoned her, Zeus took 3 night shards from Nyx's soul, which is just wild. Now, while being tortured, Zeus reveals that he gave one of the shards to an ally in a place of knowledge, one to an enemy in a place of dreams, and placed one in a far-off paradise. Now, after getting this information, Nyx effortlessly snaps Zeus's neck, killing him instantly. And so when we consider that Zeus himself is beyond Omega level, it stands to reason that if Nyx is able to kill him without breaking a sweat, that she would also be pretty far beyond this guy. Now, Nyx then states to her minions that with the gods out of the way, her plan is to wipe the universe clean and start a new one, which makes sense, right? The Greek gods are the ones standing between just the end of all things, total oblivion. But of course, this will require her to regain the shards that Zeus had hidden. But what is mind-blowing about this is that without the shards, Nyx is at her weakest, so she was able to take out all the gods of Olympus at a mere fraction of her full power, and is also able to withstand a combined attack from the Avengers and Voyager without being significantly harmed. Now, it's at this point that Nyx's true origin was revealed, and we learned that she existed before there was light. And when more and more light came into existence because of Zeus, it became clear that the two of them could not coexist. Now, Zeus then builds Mount Olympus, which becomes an immense source of light, chipping away at the darkness, and therefore at Nyx's power. Now, once humans were given fire, there was even more light, and Nyx was weakened even further. And so as the Olympians were worshipped by humans, Nyx became angrier and vowed to exact her revenge on the gods. Now, when the inevitable fight between Nyx and the gods occurred, the gods banded together to defeat her, and Zeus took the shards of her soul and imprisoned her in darkness, where she grew angrier and angrier. Now, when the Earth leaves the orbit of the sun and Nyx is ultimately freed, she causes darkness to fall over every light source, not only on Earth, but in the entire universe. Now, eventually Nyx is able to acquire 2 of 3 shards containing her soul, and makes her way to a planet called Euphoria, which had been created by the Silver Surfer and his companion Dawn Greenwood to be inhabited by the citizens of another planet which had been destroyed. Now, Euphoria is a sentient planet and had been given the final shard by Zeus, and so a battle raged between Nyx and the Avengers, and during this fight, Euphoria offered the shard to Nyx willingly, which returned her to full power. Now, with her godhood restored, Nyx was able to see the center of all reality, the birthplace of all that was, all that is, and all that ever will be, which really sounds like a Bret Hart promo, and the place from which she will remake the universe, a house in Long Island, New York. Now, it turns out the house is actually the House of Ideas, which is the point from which all Marvel stories originate. And the House of Ideas, those of you guys who don't know, is a nickname for Marvel Comics that they actually had back in the 60s and 70s when Marvel was revolutionizing superhero comics, unlike now. So to incorporate it into an actual story is pretty meta, as is the way that Nyx is eventually defeated. So before Nyx can rebuild the entire multiverse in her image, Vision is able to breach the House of Ideas through a sliver of light that remained as the door closed. Now, once inside, he has a conversation with Nyx and explains that a universe cannot be created out of darkness, but requires light, because the imagination needed to create a universe is synonymous with light. Now, Vision then takes the form of the Human Torch and burns Nyx to ashes, but she proclaims that she will not be gone forever and there will always be darkness. But up to this point, that's all we've seen of Nyx, although it is possible she may return somewhere down the road. As far as her powers go, basically, she can control darkness. She can summon darkness, she can create constructs made of shadow to basically do her bidding, and she can become a shadow herself, making herself intangible. She also has immense superhuman physical attributes and can teleport through time and space at will. And while we have only seen her in one series, the fact that she wiped out a pantheon of gods while at her weakest without breaking a sweat would be enough to call her Omega level, but she was on the verge of recreating reality and likely would have succeeded if the writers hadn't been set on making some sort of meta commentary on imagination and light. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this to an end. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.